Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so we're talking about the Pistons and the Lakers today at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And the Lakers coming off the fourth worst loss in NBA in our history, in our team history. LeBron James, the worst loss in his history, and the worst loss we've ever had against the Philadelphia 76ers, where we lost by 44 points in their building. Very, very disturbing stuff, but we're going to bounce back tonight, hopefully against the worst team in the league, a team that has lost 14 straight games. Detroit Pistons. Terrible, man. And the sad thing about it is when you look at their roster, they got nothing but players that you should want on your team. Like, they really do. They got James Wiseman, the second overall pick from about 4 years ago. The Golden State Warriors took him over Melo Ball, which doesn't make any sense to me even now. It didn't make any sense that day. But, you know, he has some upside and a solid center who could score and rebound a little bit. They got Marvin Bagley, who was, the third overall pick several years ago when teams were picking Luka Doncic and Trae Young and DeAndre Ayton. The Sacramento Kings inexplicably took Marvin Bagley, and he's starting to come along now. Although he did have a DNP in the last game, he's been playing quite well for the Detroit Pistons. They got Marcus Sasser, a young rookie that came into this game as a guard who played well behind several guards who've been out and really showed that he could be a starting guard in this league early on, and probably if we're in a different situation would be up the rookie rankings quite a bit. They got Jaden Ivey, who was the fifth overall pick last year for the Detroit Pistons. He is also a player with a lot of athleticism at the guard spot, whose game is starting to come along. He was injured earlier in the season, but has since come back about 3 games ago and has been playing pretty strong for his standards. You can expect some rebounds, some points, and a few assists from him as he continues to develop. So keep an eye open for Jaden Ivey. He has real athleticism, mostly compared to John Morant when he was coming out of college. And I think it's still going to develop into something special as he goes forward. Cade Cunningham, who was the first overall pick several years ago, has had some injury issues, but ultimately has proven himself to be as good as advertised. He can go for 50. He's basically one of those super talented guards with a huge frame. I think he's about 6'8". Definitely a big guy who could run the floor for their team and basically not make too many mistakes. You got Jalen Duren. I think he was a 7th overall pick or something like that last year. Don't quote me on what number he was, but he is a huge man center. He is a man. He came into this league with a body ready for the league, can jump out the gym, block a lot of shots, rebound the ball on the offensive and defensive end. Definitely a major defensive problem when he's blocking shots from the weak side, and rebounding is his thing. Isaiah Stewart, a young player who's been on the Detroit Pistons for about 4 years, also another heavy-set big man who can block shots, shoot the three a little bit, dunk the ball, and ultimately attack LeBron James, because we know he and LeBron James had a spat 2 years ago where this guy was relentless, and we had a whole team standing in front of him, security guards standing in front of him, and he still was trying to get at LeBron James. So keep an eye open for Isaiah Stewart and LeBron James energy tonight. That will be a thing. Who else is on this team? They got a guy by the name of Isaiah Levers, who's played well at times at the power forward position. Also a young player still developing. Somebody I've seen play well in the past, so we got to keep an eye open for him. They just got a bunch of guys you want. And, of course, my favorite player, arguably my favorite player in the league right now, Ausar Thompson, who is basically the best defensive rookie we've seen in quite a while. With all the athleticism in the world, can assist the ball. He could score some too, but really his athleticism on the defensive end is what's been popping off the screen, stealing the ball, blocking shots, not making too many mistakes. He's a fantastic rookie this year, and his twin brother plays for the Houston Rockets, who was drafted even higher than him, but he's the one who's gotten the opportunity. And he's the one who they expect should be able to space the floor a bit better than his bro going forward as he develops. So pay attention to Ausar Thompson. The scoring is not quite there, but it's about everything else he can do. Rebound. His athleticism is crazy. He's going to get lobs. He's going to dunk all night long probably. He's going to dart in and out of the lane. He's like uber athletic, human being with gifts on the defensive end and gifts passing the rock. So his ascension into stardom, I think, is inevitable, just like Cade Cunningham. And they got players that you want. That's what I'm telling you, basically. All of these players I like a lot. You know, Marvin Bagley, I don't know if I mentioned him already. I think I did, but he's been balling. You know, you just got to be careful against a team like this whose parts don't come together very well. But if they were to make trades in this league, all of those pieces are likely to play better elsewhere. All of those pieces are likely to turn into something later on. They're good. They just suck together. And so that's really what it is. I personally think this team is tanking on purpose. I really do believe that they don't want to win any games right now. Monty Williams, a coach that was in the finals just 2 years ago, is running this squad, and they've been complaining a lot about pride, not having the effort necessary to win basketball games, not respecting the colors. The same thing I was saying in regards to the Lakers against the Philadelphia 76ers, just not putting on the uniform and respecting it properly. But at the end of the day, when you lose 14 straight games, one has to wonder if you're tanking when you got this much talent on the floor. Now, I understand the spacing is not great because they got Duren, Thompson, and Stewart in the starting lineup. That basically makes it easy for teams to crowd around those guys because none of them really shoot the three that well. And I think that might be the major problem. Two of their best shooters are going to be out for this game. Bojan Bogdanovic and the guy from the Nets, Joe Harris, is also missing from this matchup. So that's really what you understand about the Detroit Pistons. They've lost their last 14 basketball games, with the latest one being against the lowly Washington Wizards, where they had Kyle Kuzma looking like LeBron James from the statistical standpoint, although his assists have been way up lately, basically almost averaging a triple-double over the last week. Kyle Kuzma is playing all-star basketball. I want people to know that. But nevertheless, they had him looking real great out there. I think he scored like 18 points in the third quarter. Went from having a slight deficit to going up by 14 at the end of the third. So clearly this Detroit team is not good. I mean, they just really suck, man. Let's just be honest. They're a bad team. Now, the Lakers are coming off of the worst loss they've had in a million years. And you don't really know how to teeter in regards to the mentality of your team. Are they going to continue to play poorly? And if that's the case, we could have an interesting night tonight. Or are they going to look at that and be offended by the fact that they played so poorly and come back and take it out on the Detroit Pistons? Whatever the case may be, I do expect the Lakers to win this basketball game, whether it's a close game or a lopsided blowout. I just don't. I have more faith in the Detroit Pistons losing this game than I do in the Lakers winning it, believe it or not. This is more so about the Pistons and how they find ways to lose games. They've been getting blown out, close games, they lose everything. They lose no matter what. And the last game was against the Wizards. The one before that was against Indy. They lost by almost 20 points. They had a game against the Denver Nuggets before that where they lost by 4, but the Nuggets and them both shot below 40% from the three and below 50% from the field, so nobody was hitting any shots there. The Nuggets still found a way to win the game. I mean, they just been losing to everybody, man. Toronto, Indy, everybody who comes in is beating this team. You know, the Toronto Raptors, about 5 games ago, set their team record 44 assists against this Detroit Piston defense. I mean, it's just a bad team, man. They're a bad team. So when you consider going up against this squad, you have to expect your team comes out and gets the victory in some fashion. I do know that the Detroit Pistons are due to win a game. Their team record for losses, consecutive losses, is 21, so they're not quite close to that right now. But they have been talking about having more pride and showing more effort and things of that nature. You just expect a team's going to find a way to win. And when you look at the way we lost the last game, this could be the one where they're looking at it and saying, okay, we got a chance here against these Lakers, who haven't been playing well, who are injured and all these different things. Speaking of injuries, of course, we still got a bunch of players on the injury list. Cam Reddish is expected to be a game-time decision tonight, so that's good news. Anthony Davis, game-time decision. Braun, questionable. Vando still out. Rui still out. And Vincent still out. So we know what we're looking at there. We're still undermanned, and we're going to have to manage that. But against the Detroit Pistons team, I would imagine that we're not going to be asking anybody to come out there and rush. I wouldn't even be surprised if Braun doesn't play in this game. Because there is a back-to-back tomorrow in Oklahoma. So I think that game probably means a lot more to the Lakers just in general because it's a Western Conference matchup, it's a playoff team, etc. I'd expect that we're going to want everybody to be healthy tomorrow, if at all possible, within reason. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if guys sit in this particular matchup. It's just a bad team you're going up against in theory. But the problem is you can't be certain tonight isn't the night that Cade Cunningham doesn't go for 40 points. You can't be certain of that. The way we've been guarding the perimeter, he may have 7 threes tonight. You can't be certain this ain't a big Jaden Ivey game because, like I said, he came back about 3 games ago and has been getting better and better. And we saw how high his level went last season. It's a very talented player. You know, a guy like Marcus Sasser against the Los Angeles Lakers, you never know. This might be a game he feels great coming off the bench. Same thing with a guy like Jalen Duren. You know, are you sure he's not going to have 20 boards against our bad rebounding ways? I mean, they have talent that ceiling goes up so high that you have to expect that just as they've gone on a 14-game losing streak, at some point in time, this team could go on a 14-game winning streak someday because that's how much talent they've been able to accumulate over the course of the last 5 years in the draft. So for me, it's like I don't look at this as a bad team. They are a bad team as it pertains to how they've been playing this season. But if they just keep this team together and don't make any trades over the next several years, all they got to do is bring themselves some shooting, and they should be all right. But they don't have that shooting, so we should be able to crowd them, leave certain guys open, double team Cade Cunningham, stuff like that. Just makes them schematically a problem for themselves, which is why I think they need to shake up their starting lineup somehow, or maybe make some trades to get that shooter if possible. Bogdanovich, 176 years old, and they still want to ask for 2 first-round picks for him. That is why he's still on the team. I told y'all that last year. They need to come down on that price. And they probably would have been able to get themselves a younger shooter to mesh with this timeline. But because they're being ornery about his value, he's stuck on this team not doing a damn thing for him. And part of the problem, in my opinion, was them featuring him last year with the intention of trading him for 2 picks instead of developing some of the guys that otherwise didn't get the minutes. Now they suck this year because they're leaning on them with him being out inevitably, given the fact that he's 165 years old. And that's just, you know, organizational decisions that the Pistons have made have not been very good. And so that's what you're looking at there. It's a team that just they just haven't done right with their assets. If they had any sense, they would shoot some of the players that they have to other places to get them the elements that they need to make guys like Cade Cunningham and Ausar Thompson the focal point of what they're doing going forward, because that's really what it needs to be. But they don't, you know, it's something wrong with management there, man. I'm just going to be honest with you. I like Monty Williams, but they gave him, what, a 10-year deal of $100 million? I mean, I would have never did that, man. I would have never did that. Monty Williams is a solid coach, but he is not Phil Jackson, bro. This is Pistons are Pistons, bro. But they have a lot of good team players, and hopefully at some point in time they can put it all together. And, you know, with guys like I said, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey, these are all very, very good prospects who have still yet to develop. So they're just getting off to a bad start with a bad organization, in my humble opinion. But that can change if they trade some of them dudes properly. So, yeah, our Lakers, well, we are doing all right. We just need to get guys healthy. I've been hearing a lot about this Zach LaVine process, but Zach LaVine had a foot injury yesterday and scored 2 points, was 1 of 9 in a loss, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not excited about Zach LaVine. I hear that the Bulls are asking for Austin Reeves, and that's a no-go for me. I'm not even considering that. Austin's not even on the table for you, Chicago, if I'm running things. It's not even on the table, fam. You might as well ask for LeBron while you're at it. It's not happening. And Rui's not on the table for them either. I'm not interested in getting Zach LaVine. For one, in the final year of his contract, he's supposed to be getting $46 million. And ain't no part of Zach LaVine worth $46 million, fam. Not to us. That's a number 1 or number 2 guy salary, not a number 3 guy salary. And so for me, I'm out. I'm all the way out on Zach LaVine. I understand we can use the elements he provides. I also understand the Bulls are a bad organization who need to blow up their team and are dragging their feet in doing so because they think they can get players like Austin Reeves for contracts they should have never given the players they gave them to. That is the reality of the Zach LaVine contract. As I told y'all last summer, they signed that contract with the intention of conning us out of valuable assets and sending it to us. They never intended for that contract to mature in their organization. And I'm telling y'all, I'm not buying the con, Chicago. You ain't smarter than us. There's no way you're going to sign a player to double what he's worth and think you're going to send it to L.A. Go to hell. So that's what I have to say to Chicago Bulls. But back to the Detroit Pistons. I think we can win this game, man. I really don't think you lose by 44 points against a good Philadelphia team and then come into Detroit and not be prepared. But that's what I've been accusing the Lakers of, not being prepared. As I said in the last video rant about these Lakers, we did not realize that the Philadelphia 76ers have been shooting the ball at a rapid rate. They shot 43 threes against the Pistons, against the Pacers, I believe it was, or the OKC Thunder rather, and then followed that up by shooting 45 of them against us. These are the type of details you need to be aware of going into basketball games. You can't just look at assets that teams have and then say, well, they play like this, they play like that. You got to know exactly what the team's been doing all week. Fortunately enough for us, the Pistons haven't been doing a whole lot all week at all. And from behind the arc, they did shoot 38 shots, but they only hit 20% of them against the Washington Wizards. So they're not a good three-point shooting team, as we already said. The spacing is the problem. And given the fact they're two only shooters, literally only shooters, outside of Cade Cunningham are out, we should be able to crowd them out and run little zones and stuff like that and be okay. So long as a guy like Cade Cunningham doesn't hit 7 threes, a guy like, Isaiah Stewart doesn't shoot over 40% from behind the arc, which is possible. These are the type of things that we don't want to see happen tonight. This is the exact team you want to face after losing as bad as we did. Let's just be honest. There's not a team in the league that you would rather see than the Detroit Pistons after getting your butt whooped by 44 points. Congratulations to the Lakers in that same breath for clinching, although we already knew we clinched, the knockout round of the tournament, NBA in-season tournament. We will be playing the Phoenix Suns here in LA on the 4th, I believe it is, of December, in a winner-go-home situation. So we've had a lot of success against the Suns. I don't think Bradley Beal will be back by then. Hopefully we can yet again win another game against the Suns and get ourselves into the final round. But that's what we're looking at. And, I really like where we are as it pertains to the outlook zooming out. We've been able to win games we're not supposed to win. Our record is above 500, despite having half of the team missing. Braun is having a really good season. AD has had a good season, even though it's not been great. He's been good. We got the leading steals player in the league, and Cam Reddish likely coming back tonight. So it's a lot of things to like, but there's also some things that we haven't at all been appreciative of. And we need guys to play better. And we need our coach to coach better and be more prepared and ultimately continue to tweak this lineup to make sure that we have the right players on the floor at the right time. I thought his rotations were especially bad against Philly. And we talked a lot about that in the rant the rant video as well. I thought that use of timeouts could be better. We haven't talked much about that on this channel, but I've heard a lot of Laker analysts speak about the Lakers' lack of use of timeouts, and I think we could do a much better job there too. Our offensive rebounding issues re-emerged against, or rather defensive rebounding issues, giving up offensive boards. Against the Philadelphia 76ers, we rebounded the ball pretty terrible. As I said, left them open for threes, 17 turnovers, for which the Detroit Pistons also had against the Wizards in the last game. So this could be a high turnover game. If those indicators are any are going to tell the story, that could be the case. So, at the end of the day, man, if you want to beat the Detroit Pistons, basically these days all you gotta do is show up, man. That's really how bad it is for the Pistons. They just can't win, man. They can't get out of their own way, turn the ball over, missing shots they have no business missing. It's just a bad team right now, but they have high-level talent, so you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're taking them for granted and mess around and have Cade Cunningham go for 50 on you, because that can happen. You know what I mean? That's the problem. So I think the Lakers need to be aware of that. Isaiah Thompson's a guy who can have 7-8 steals in one game if he really wants to. Like, these are high-level lottery pick talent. And so if they all click at the same time, unprecedented stuff can take place, not just losing. So we need to be very careful about that. But I don't expect them to win, man. I don't expect it. I think they have schematic issues that leave them at a disadvantage in today's league. That's really what it comes down to. If you can't space the floor properly, you're just going to have people crowding the players that you want shooting the ball, and everything has to be hard for them. And that's what Cade Cunningham is running into. Every shot he takes is hard. He's always being double teamed, triple teams, because you can leave the rest of their shooters open. And so till the Pistons fix that problem, they're going to continue to lose basketball games. And I don't think tonight's going to be any exception. I'm just going to be honest with you. The Pistons got to figure that out, man. They need to make a trade, and they need to make a trade right now. And they're hesitant to do so, and as a result, they're going to be in line to get the first pick in the draft, as far as I can tell. That's really what it is, man. So hopefully the Los Angeles Lakers can take advantage of this team and do what it is that ultimately we were not able to do, which is at the very least compete. Because that game we had against Philadelphia was an abomination of the highest order, or lowest order, rather, and we would rather never, ever experience a loss like that again, whether it be on the home floor or on someone else's. So that's really what I have to say, man. I'm thankful that we played the Pistons tonight. I do expect that if we lose this game, we'll be looking to fire people, honestly. I don't think, like, Darvin needs to understand, like, you just lost by 44 points to the Philadelphia 76ers, bro. You're going into the worst team in the league's house tonight. You really do need to win this game, man. You really do need to win this game. I don't think Genie's going to do no fast, knee-jerk reaction firing, but the decision to fire people begins if we lose this game. I can tell you, there's going to be some people off this team, man. And so a guy like D'Lo Russell needs to play well tonight. Guy like Taurean Prince, be wise to play well tonight. Like, these are the type of players I'm looking at. Anthony Davis, don't have a no-show tonight, because this is the type of game where if you don't play well, people look at the sum of how this road trip is going. They look at the last road trip and how bad we played in that one, and they start saying we're not good enough and we're going to make some moves. And after the last game, I think that decision has already been made, but I think tonight guys can do a lot for themselves in beating up on a bad team. And if you can get a big win against this team, I think it'll help you tomorrow, since we've had so many injury issues and do have to play this back-to-back, flying from Detroit to OKC tomorrow. It would be wise for us to not have to play our starters in the fourth quarter of this game, man. So, we've been pretty good about doing that. Having back-to-backs, we've gotten big leads in both of the first games. So hopefully against a worse team than any of the ones we've seen, we can put these team away early, rest Bron and AD, and have them fresh for tomorrow against Chet, Shea, and everybody else that's going to be on that OKC squad. So that's what it is. Your Detroit Pistons, or rather your Los Angeles Lakers, are going to be wearing their yellow uniforms, and the Detroit Pistons are going to be wearing their black and red and white uniforms. Black, red, and blue, I believe that is. And I don't know what floor they're going to have. I'm not really certain. But this is a bad Detroit team, so it really doesn't matter what floor they're on. They're likely going to lose the game. And so that bodes very well for my Los Angeles Lakers. Hopefully we can just seal the deal and not overly embarrass ourselves for 2 games, for the second game in a row, man. So that's pretty much what I got to say. I hope everybody's enjoyed this video. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.